Well, hello people, and welcome to episode 1 of Rannoch, our brand new vanilla quality of life City Skylines 1 series. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I am playing on the hilly straight map from Sidai's Map Pack 2. There is a link down to Instant Gaming where you can pick this up for very cheap now if you'd like to help support the channel and play along on the same map. I am using the Forest Brush and Line Tool mods in order to help speed up my detailing, but besides that, this is vanilla gameplay, and those playing on the console will be able to play along up until 25 tiles. I will eventually also be opening up 81 tiles for those following along on the PC. And as always, links down to Instant Gaming and Patreon below if you'd like to help support the channel and get a little bit more egg in your life. But either way, let's start our brand new vanilla City Skylines 1 city, Rannoch. And just a cheeky little reminder that just under half of you are unsubscribed to the channel, so if you are enjoying the videos, do hit subscribe. YouTube will not release me until I can get this to at least an 80-20 ratio subscribed, so hang around and enjoy the content. So let's get started by putting down our first roads. So I'm going to pause the game while we do this, of course, because I don't want to pay any upkeep costs. And now let's come in to our road. So really interesting starting interchange that Sidai has left for us here at the start of Rannoch or Hilly Straits. And there's an opportunity to feed a couplet system out here. So that's what I'm going to start with. Now this one's going to be a little bit wider than the one that we had in Orchid Bay. So let's bring this out by 40 tiles. And then of course we will upgrade this into a one-way system. Now I imagine this intersection here will probably not hold a huge amount of traffic. It's not going to be the only way in and out of the city. So as long as we give them enough highway access, this shouldn't back up. But we will wait and see, of course. So I think this couplet, my initial vision here is that downtown and our high density districts are going to be around this area of the map with the interchange and the bridge and where the straight narrows. And we can go off into some much more interesting landscapes over here with this couplet system. So let's start preparing that curve. So I'd also like to save a nice bit of green belt space by the river here, because this is very much going to be kind of outer line suburbia, right, once this city grows up a little bit. So we can match up these curves here, and we'll also do the same here too. Let's hit that one there, and then we can hit the road guideline with a curve, and that'll keep everyone that one tile apart that we're looking for in the middle right here, okay? So I'm not sure what we can do with this. We can maybe run some sort of public transport down the middle, maybe a tram system or metro or monorail if we wanted to be a little bit more futuristic in the future. I'd love to make a big song and dance out of this green space in the middle with public transport one day. So that's going to go off and over there, and we can build many things off that in the future. Now let's come to our medium roads, and I'd love to grab a 4-lane. So this 4-lane here is going to be a real key arterial road, you know, something that carries a lot of traffic into high density areas, pretty much mirroring the highway as it comes through this landscape here. So I'd also like to curve this off too. So let's go for another 10 units. The full distance, if you're wondering there, is 2460 in measurement cost. Now let's have this go that way, I think. Now let me just sort of estimate how this is going to happen. We want to go for, yeah, that's sort of roughly the trajectory I want that road to take. We don't need to draw it that far right now because we don't want to be paying the upkeep costs, but I would like to draw in at least the bridge on a measurement of 30 tiles, I think, there. Let's do that. We'll have that in. So we know that we can cross the river at some point in the future, but for right now we just have that connection prepared. Super. So let's come into our water next, and we will discuss what's going to happen with this. So I think the water tower always is a good option at the start. And what better place to place it than right at the start of the city, where one day we'll have that big suspension bridge with a high-rise downtown here and a nice gradual crawl in height eventually as we crawl toward those mountains. And also quite a nice centerpiece for the city here, isn't it? Against some wonderful detailing left for us by Sidai. Very cute indeed. How tremendous. It's always nice. So I'm not going to put any water pipes down. What I'm going to do here, so if you want to go ahead and put pipes under your roads now or run them in kind of like efficiency grids and layouts, you can do that. This is an enormous waste of nodes, and for those that follow my channel, you know we have had 2 cities die now due to the node count. So I am going to come into the 81 tiles mod. If you are on PC, you can do this. On console, you can only go to 25 tiles with the remastered edition anyway, so the node count isn't really an issue for those on console. What I am going to tick here is to enable water, sewage, and heating transmission without the need for pipes, okay? I am going to currently untick the electricity transmission because I do like to use power lines, but water pipes I am not going to use from the start of this city. But if you want to use them, please go ahead. Cool, so that's one utility service in. Now next we have our power. Now what are we like here for wind power? There's quite a lot of it over here, but this is kind of prime building space really, so I don't particularly want wind turbines here. Other opportunities, this whole flat is nice and windy, isn't it? Otherwise, we're probably looking down by the coast, so wind power probably not the option here. What we do have since we previously started is the advanced core power plant. It's quite a bit more expensive than the regular core power plant. Does come with the Green Cities DLC. And I haven't actually started a city with this before, but we will be able to bring the costing down for it, so maybe we could try it. Sure, let's go ahead. This could be a bit of a bad decision, but we'll see how it pans out. So in terms of some initial local industry, I'm kind of eyeing up this pocket of land here against the highway. I reckon maybe we can get a factory in here as well from the Industries DLC at some point. So let's grab our 2-lane road with wide sidewalks here. And I'm going to draw up a little road where we'll have our industry. So let's map out this industrial road frame for right now. Let's bring a road down here. We'll also have one here. Now let's find a place to place down our first power plant. So I'm going to go advanced coal, of course, as we discussed. Now, I think even this could have quite a tasty position up against the highway itself. I think the orientation and positioning of assets is always quite important. I think I'm going to be happy with that. I think I'm also going to reclaim a little bit more money, actually, on this bridge. We don't really need it yet, so don't actually draw that. Fabulous. So that's going to be the slightly more expensive option. Immediately, we want to bring down our power budget, because that's going to be super expensive. And we probably won't need as much water at the start either. Let's bring that down to about 76%. So next thing, of course, would be sewage. Now, we do have the Sunset Harbour DLC in order to place the water treatment plant. So I think I'm going to line this up with a 2-lane road with median just behind my power plant here, because these are both quite polluted buildings, so we can kind of keep all our pollution in one spot, at least for right now. It's likely our starting industry area will shift and develop over time, but for right now, I'm pretty happy with those buildings there, and that gives us all of our services. We now have water, sewage, and power, which means we can now spend the rest of the budget on roads. So I want my first suburb to occupy this space here. So let's come out of the same junction here, and let's bring it down by, we'll do 40. That'll actually bring us straight to that cut-off point on the couplet. And I think it will actually connect into the couplet at that point as well. And now I'd also like to start bringing in some suburbia. I wouldn't mind another road connection off here. I would certainly suggest leaving at least kind of 10 units of space between the exit here and the first intersection. Like, you wouldn't want another road right here, for example. I'm not averse to another entry into this road from here, I don't think. I'm going to take that one straight the way down. And then with that space left, I really want to maximize the amount of zonable space here. So I'm going to bring these initial roads just to fill that space. Now this should be a sensible amount of residential space to get us started. We will also prepare a touch more. And maybe also, too, let's actually bring some dirt road into the equation here. Let's scroll down to our menu, it's a little bit cheaper. And we can use it to map out some of our industrial spaces, I think. Something like that should be efficient enough. Cool, and that gives me my initial starting template with everything down and about 5 grand left to spare. So let's come into our zonings and we'll talk about where we want to zone. So with this couplet system, this will be, of course, one way, so I don't really want zonings on here. I'd rather keep this free, but I'm happy to have zonings all down these streets here. So let's get those zoned in for right now. And then all these blocks as well. I would like to stick to the 4x4 zonings. If you go ahead and mass zone this, you can end up with quite a lot of awkward little shapes that don't really look that great in the long run, especially once they start to level up to their higher levels. Of course, we know that some of the vanilla assets are a little bit janky looking, especially some of the vanilla residential. But if you're not particularly bothered about that, feel free to just bulk zone this in. Otherwise, I am going to wait for my alternating 4x4 patterns to grow, just because it's a much neater, more uniform residential sort of design, if you like. So some initial zonings, I'm just going to create that patchwork residential design that I want, leaving those other 4x4 spaces to grow. Same over here too, let's get our nice corner houses in. And this should be pretty sufficient as well. We can also do one there. I do want to leave some zonings on the main street, I think, for commercial. So we'll probably have our commercial strip around this end of the street, I think. Let's put those initial commercials in there too. All the way down this road. Get some parks in here once we get them unlocked as well. Then once we do hit that detailing milestone, which is only 1,000 population for this map, we will have some really nice sort of pathways running along this river. Make a nice big park out of it, which should be quite cute, I think. And then our industry, I'll happily have some alongside our power plants and services here. And then I'm not massively bothered about zoning specific industry. We can set this up here. Imagine I'll probably change this out for industrial evolution once we unlock a district. We'll see how it starts. Oh, and let's not forget to hook a temporary power line into our industrial district, so our water tower is powered. There we go. Now we can wait for some of our sims to come in. Eventually the power will jump across to that. It's only a temporary line. But don't worry too much about it being a little bit random. So hopefully our first sim isn't too far away now. They should be arriving off of this interchange at any moment. Now once we do spot them, we'll have a little chat about what my vision is for the map as well. There is an episode 0 available to the patrons on the Patreon if you're interested in that. Wonderful, our first houses are coming in. Whilst they are coming in, we can now start to fill in the rest of that residential pattern that we were looking at. There we go, now we can bulk zone it and bring in other patterns around it. There we go, that one should zone fairly sensibly too. Alongside these. We are still waiting for our first sim. We've missed a lot. The start of the town is already flying up here. But all our zoning starting to balance out. I would of course like to be picky with what grows in, so I always like making these initial buildings historical. It just gives them, or stops them from becoming kind of too grandiose, which is not particularly what I want for this part of the map. Although there are 2 buildings the same there, so let's let one of them level up, shall we? We will go into the red a little bit here, just until those initial taxpayers come in. There's nothing particularly to worry about. Have a look at our power here. We're still producing absolutely tons of it. Even though we are at the bottom of the budget, which is going to be okay. And how are we doing for water? Yeah, water as well could also be brought down in the budget, just to help save on those initial pennies. Going into debt's not a huge problem, but we'll be absolutely fine. Just got to keep these houses coming in. Which is nice. Now we can see how our first neighbourhood is going to position itself against that starting coupler system. No, we still have no sims. Does anybody want to come to Rannoch? I'd appreciate it if you would. That's a very nice corner asset there. If you are missing a lot of these commercial assets, you don't have them in your pack. They come with all the DLCs. I think this is an Art Deco one, the ice cream parlour. Art Deco DLC. And this is one of King Leno's Campus City assets, I think, isn't it? So you get lots of new commercial assets with your DLCs too, if you are interested. Here comes our first truck. Looks like he's bringing some ore to that coal power plant. Of course, one day we will produce our own ore to feed that. But for right now, it can be imported. And that, I guess that is the first sim into the city, isn't it? There's already quite a lot built here, considering there's no sims in it at the minute. But they will come in eventually. So all those initial demands starting to satisfy now, and we can see that weekly income deficit slowly coming down. And we've still got plenty of industrial space to zone up here as well. Already a pretty cool start. There we go. Here's the first people. Is that the first one there? Yep, there we go. Ashlyn Smithson is the first one in. Absolutely fantastic. They're a guard at the coal power plant already. Now they're going to settle in, and here comes our first sims. There's nothing like that first rush, isn't there? I know because I make YouTube videos for cities, I start a city so rarely. So it's always so nice when it just comes back and you get that initial start. There really is nothing quite like it. Get some more commercial going around here too. Also here, I'm going to save this space for a pathway. And in hindsight, I'm probably going to keep that pathway running through the whole neighborhood, I think. So let's move those houses over and allocate for that. Keep that space free all the way through there. Then we can connect people through and keep it nice and walkable. Treat this as kind of a little walkway down onto that main green belt that we have planned as well. So there is industrial demand, but there is still industrial space, so we'll let that go in, and just as that happens, we do fall into a positive, and that's only going to continue to climb as we get those demands. There's still plenty more residential demand as well, so let's keep that coming in too. Fantastic, and with that we hit our first milestone of Little Hamlet, which gives us loans and taxes. We'll take both of those as well. Garbage, healthcare, education now also available, alongside a bunch of new service assets, which is very exciting. So we'll use these pretty much straight away, I think. So, first Hamlet, let's come in to our loans. I'm going to take that 20 grand because it's free real estate. And we're also going to bring our taxes up to the magical 12%. That's going to maximize our tax revenue while continuing to make us more money. Whilst we do have those new services, the most crucial of them is garbage, so that has to go down first. Again, as it's a pollutive industry, I would prefer it be over here. So let's have, can we delete that with our power? Very nearly. Just needs to come across there, doesn't it? There we go. That's fine. Now we can delete that. So let's grab that 2-lane road with median, and I'd love to be able to position our recycling centre just up against the side of the highway here. Something like that is pretty perfect for me, actually. I think I might actually just relocate that down the side here, maybe. Bring that one down, trim that back, and then we'll have the recycling centre on this side. And then we'll wrap that dirt road around the edge of it. Try to change up some of those textures in the early industrial area, which would be quite nice. I'm also playing with a mod called Hide It as well, which is hiding all my pollution colours. I just simply don't like that nasty purple pollution. So if you are on the PC, you can download the Hide It mod, and then I am choosing to hide the polluted area. That is what is hiding my dirty purple pollution, if you are wondering. Fortunately on console, you guys can't turn that off, so you will just have to make do with it. Fantastic. A little bit more industrial demand coming in now. Let's go ahead and zone that up too. Make sure we keep on top, making sure there's plenty of jobs for the people here. I'd also like to make a couple of these initial warehouses historical. I'm very happy for prop alignments like this to take place. Very helpful vanilla detailing. So really want to make that part of my industrial area too. I'm also quite a big fan of those shipping containers right by the highway as well. And I wouldn't mind keeping a couple of these larger, chunkier, more industrial looking buildings too with the smokestacks, so or historical, one or two of those. Otherwise, we are now making money. We can also place down some services right now. Healthcare is pretty expensive at the beginning of the vanilla game and isn't really needed. Like there's 0.6 citizens in the city right now, so they just don't need that healthcare for the time being. Once we start seeing people complain of being sick, that's when we'll build our first clinic. But we do have access to our first school. So there's the elementary school, and I believe there's also the content creator one open as well, which is £160 a week compared to 160, so it's the same price, isn't it? I think I'd almost like to put two of these together, so I'm going to save room for that community school in my school campus. So let's have a little look where we could have our first elementary school campus here. I want something that's quite expandable. So I think I'm going to grab my 2-lane road with median, and let's have it here. So I'm going to bring this up that way. And I'm going to place my elementary school here. Then I'm also going to bring that road up alongside it. I think I'll just shuffle that across to there. Fortunately, that does cost me 2,000. And then we can treat this little space here as a little school campus for us to sit just off the main road. And kind of keeping it more modular, you know, when I do need that bump in elementary school education again, I can just come back and place this second community school like it's just part of the same campus. So that way I've not got multiple elementary school campuses in what is a very small town. We can just keep it all part of the same one, and we'll do some fencing and pathways around this once we also have those unlocked. I think for this series as well, I am also going to make use of the vanilla props available via Find It. We can come in here, filter for park props, and what this gives us is a much varied selection of the vanilla base props, such as swing sets and other things that are present on the assets. So I think just to help further our detailing for this series, I will make use of the vanilla props available via the Find It tab. Again, another great quality of life mod I would suggest installing if you're playing on the PC. So it looks like our initial residential pallets are starting to fill out, which is very nice. Let's go ahead and squeeze in some more houses around here, leaving room for that road to expand as well. Get some people living in and around the school. And then we're also getting a little bit more industrial demand too, so I think I'm going to keep expanding my little pathways here down toward the river. I'm just trying to get in some different size zonings here, so maybe cut through one of the buildings just to generate some more spaces behind them. Like I said, I really want to maximize this initial starting space. I always prefer a much slower kind of crawling play style here. If you are totally new to City Skylines, I would definitely recommend also checking out my Noob's Guide series. That gives you much more of a hand-holding through the initial start of the game if you're not familiar with some of the mechanics or the shortcuts or the functionality of the service buildings, etc. So check out that series if you're also interested. So taking a look at some of these traffic lights, I'd like to turn some of them off. So let's come into our junctions and we'll turn off these ones on the main street. Definitely want to have the main street have priority. Now we can make this one the priority road with the traffic tools as well. That way people give way to people coming on it, basically. I think I'll keep these traffic lights on down the junctions. This should just help keep a nice staggered flow. We'll sort of see how well they perform over time, I think. It'd be great if some of these guys leveled up. They're all the same. We will give them some services. See if we have any 6 citizens yet. Yeah, still 0 6 citizens, so we'll save on that upkeep. Enjoy these houses coming in here. Whilst they are growing up, let's go ahead and talk about our vision for the series. So I mentioned earlier on, I'd love to have kind of a medium density crawl begin from here as we cross over the river. Maybe a campus here or something, or big nightlife district. And then we can crawl into our high density area up this way. I've been looking at quite a few of the northern states, Oregon, Wyoming, even some of the southern ones as well. I'm after much more of a, think of a mid-rise. I think Orchid-based Skyline was incredibly tall, wasn't it? So I'd like to go for something a little bit more tasteful and subtle here. Something kind of like North State American or Southern States American, I think really is what I want in terms of the high-rise rather than kind of a New York, if you like kind of like Orchid Bay was, you know, that super tall metropolis. So that's sort of what I'm going for. I've also seen Jacksonville's skyline. Jacksonville has a very nice skyline by a bridge that would work very well in here. I've always wanted to take inspiration from that city before. But otherwise the map is incredibly promising. There's lots of rivers and mountains. There's some great little details left in for us by Sidai. This is just tremendous here. I really love this. It's great work. So, oh, there we go. We do have some issues. Let's go ahead. This will just be a budget problem. It looks like we have now run out of power and electricity. We have indeed, or power and water. Yeah, so let's turn those back up in our budget. Let's go to 70%. We'll give ourselves that headroom. Should satisfy everyone's desire, and everyone's happy again. So let's bring some of these roads to a close over here. Now this suburb's starting to reach its limit against the river. So you can come down this way. We'll create some more little cul-de-sac roads here where we can get more people living, hopefully. And then I would also like to come down here as well, back onto that arterial. And I probably will leave a traffic light here, I think. So all this space on the internal side I want to save for the school campus. I think I'll probably delete that cafe there as well. So we'll have our school campus here, which we can finish with the detailing milestone. And where we do have those demands, let's make sure we keep on top of them. Really, this whole start of the city here is just about powering toward a very strong start. I want to make sure we do that. And I think here with this road, I'm going to adjust the zoning. So let's come to our upgrade tool, and then I want to make sure that the zoning is on the right side of the road. Something to that effect. That way we will reclaim the zonings here as well. And I think with this road here as well, I'm also going to upgrade them just to be on the left. That way I'll get a larger zoning square in there. So these are all growing up. Don't think we missed any major spaces. Some smaller houses can grow in the corner. And there is our next milestone of Worthy Village. Fantastic. So we get a new tile, which we won't need for quite a while yet. Districts, policies, and second loans are all now available, alongside emergency services, police departments, unique buildings, 2 industry specializations. Green Cities housing is now available. We'll definitely spend an episode building up a Green Cities district. That'll be a lot of fun. And then a bunch of new service buildings as well. Fantastic. And some more money. And do we get a second loan here? We do, so we'll take that 60 grand. And I'll also pay back the 20 and take it again, because it gives us lots more money to work with. Cool. So, we still got no 6 citizens yet, so no point placing a clinic just yet. So in that case, what we will do, I think, is place down our first fire station. So I'm going to use the European one. You can enable this theme in your content manager menu to have both European and American service buildings at the same time. And I think I'd like to use this as a bit of a separation between the commercial strip and the industry. So I'm going to grab a little road here, do the one with no parking. And I'd like to have something like that. And then let's set up our fire station. I think we'll have that there. Might even just move that fully up to the edge. And then let's get a little bit of industrial zoning behind it. See if we can find something to kind of complement the fencing around here. But this is going to cause everyone to be very happy because they've just had another service asset placed next to them, which is great. It's not super expensive upkeep, that one, 560. Pretty important service as well. And then we can also place police at the same time now also, which I'd like to do. Now, where do we want our police station? Wouldn't mind having this actually just on the main street. And again, because it's an important asset, I think just placing it on its own road, I know it might seem quite simple, and I talk about it all the time, but it does help draw your eye to it and just kind of give it a bit more importance. So we could place down one of the content creator ones here. They are a little bit cheaper than the main ones, aren't they? Yeah, these are both 480, so why don't we go for the security center from Hearts of Korea? We can place this down for 240 a week, which is quite a bit cheaper. It's only 8 grand. But I'm going to pay for that. I just realised we do actually need to upgrade this road with the zoning so we can place buildings on it. That would be helpful. Now let's place our security centre about there. Fabulous. We can have our police station on the entrance to town here. I'll probably put a car park next to this as well once we unlock them in the park detailing. Which is very close now, actually. And of course, as we continue to place all these service upgrades, everyone here is going to upgrade as well, allowing them to hold more citizens, which is quite good. Cool, so let's bring this road in. So I'd like to have some quite luxurious houses, I think, sat looking over the river here. So I'm going to draw another road parallel with the couplet, with a view to hook it in here, I think. Seems pretty good to me. And then let's also do another road here. I'm just trying to find the best ways to work in those spaces. The zoning. So lots of nice houses looking out over the river. And eventually the downtown skyline too. Get those growing up alongside our commercial demand starts to spike again. So I'd quite like to hide a lot of the industry with the commercial strips here. So let's make sure we zone all of this up. We'll try and stop little, you know, Timothy Brown, who's playing in the playground here, to stop him from breathing in all the smog. Destroying his young lungs. Try and shelter him from it. No promises there. Otherwise, we can now see... Oh, I absolutely love this feeling. I love the sensation of like that first high street, that first little hustle and bustle of a city, and you know you have that whole journey ahead of you. So thank you for joining me for yet another CS1 build, everyone. If you have made it this far into episode 1 already, I do appreciate it. So this side of the city is actually growing up quite nicely now. I'm pretty happy with this. Definitely want to get some more of those commercial zones in. There we go. And that should do it. So let's begin expanding the other side of the road over here. Let's start bringing this one out. Now, in terms of where this is going to go, I wouldn't mind it eventually diverting to kind of essentially do this. To come across the highway and maybe provide another way on and off the highway for people on this side eventually as it kind of comes around this way, if you can envision it outside of the city limits. So I would like that to happen. So I think I'll just keep that one running straight. And then I also wouldn't mind this splitting off on an angle and kind of going that sort of direction, I think. So I want to make sure we have a 45-degree angle when those road length markers are there. Then I know it's going to be perfectly straight and it can go off that direction, I think. Then within that, again, I think we probably have a campus around here somewhere. Maybe as a bit of a town centre, build a town around a campus. Which might be a lot of fun. We'll see how that goes. Kind of think the Boguzia University, for those that remember that. I'm also going to draw another connection in here as well. And I think I'm actually going to make this a median road too, because I don't really want people parking here. I don't want people parking on this either. And I think what we will do is eventually upgrade this into either cycling or bus one way, but we're a little bit away from that yet. We haven't unlocked those roads. So we'll see how it goes. So just continue to develop. I'd like some more houses here, but I'd love to set up a little bit of a green cities specialization as well. So let's do grid snap here. I'd like to come down here, and again, really maximizing that initial space. Let's bring those roads up, and then you can see where it will hook back into the arterial here, and we can start to create some really nice kind of dense districts with the roads. I'd also like to make sure we spec that as well. If I go out that way and then bring you up, is that the best way to fix that? Yeah, I'm happy with that. I realise it's a broken zone, but it's very subtle, you won't be able to tell. And then we can run with these grid orientations and roads. Now you can just see how I'm lining them up to get those zonable frames in. I'll make sure we've got the same here again as well. Get that in, connect it in, and then trim it off. And then we'll start to have some more houses over here as well, which I'd like to start zoning in right now. Again, I want to save room on the main street. Don't want loads of people stopping here. We want to let the traffic flow into the city first before they arrive there. So let's leave 4 tiles free. And then we'll start to hopefully see some homes develop over here. Just extend those down where they make sense now. Things like that. And that. And I reckon we can probably get across there, can we? Looks like we can. I'll probably actually remove the zoning entirely off of that road. That way it'll snap back to the top and bottom ones. So we can build something over there as well. I'd love to make this a bit of a green cities area as well. Because we do actually have that unlocked now. So let's go ahead and use our district tool to paint this out. It's probably going to go to the edge of the map and beyond a little bit, but we'll keep it running down here for the time being this side of the couplet. And we're actually going to name this after our wonderful patron subscriber, Sherry McDowell. Thank you so much for your patron support, Sherry. You are a real secret blend of herbs and spices. And you do get Rannoch's first district. So we'll have this as the district and suburb of Sherry as it goes up over this side, which is quite a nice name for a suburb as well, isn't it? And speaking of, I'd also like to give that suburb the Green Cities specialization, as we mentioned. Green Cities is a fantastic DLC, definitely top 3. If you don't have all the DLCs, there is also a DLC ranking video on the channel, if that is some content that might interest you, help you decide what packs to get, link down below. So let's keep filling this up with zoning here. We really want to get to that 1,000 population, which isn't too far away now. I know, it should be a really nice contrast having kind of vanilla and then green cities either side of the couplet as it develops as well. And we'll see how it goes. I'll just get some walking pathways here too. City really comes alive for the first time during walking pathways, isn't it? That'll grow up. Not entirely sure what to do with the commercial here yet, so I think I'm just going to keep my commercial localized to this side of the city, I think, for right now. Not another block in here either. Grabbing some up. It'd be really nice if we could find some kind of concrete extension here. We could use an airport apron, but I'd rather see if we can do it with some zoning, I think, first. Is that power jumping through of its own accord now? It is not. We'll have to find... Actually, do we have the earthquake sensor yet, I wonder? No, not till 5,000. The earthquake sensor. Because you can use that to just jump it through. But, there we go. Wonderful. There is Tiny Town, which gives us park areas, industry areas, landscaping and event policies. Lots and lots and lots of policies, new roads and pathways, which are the most important thing, of course. And lots of stuff, fences. This is where the game becomes fun with lots of parts. Look at all this DLC stuff now available to us right at the start of the game. Fantastic, isn't it? Absolutely gorgeous. So let's spend some time having a look at what we can do with some of the parks around the city here. So after hitting that milestone, we do need to create a Rannoch forest brush. At the minute, I only have build guides and Thessias. So I think we'll do this together during the episode, because I know everyone's always very keen to know kind of what my forest templates are. I think we're going to take this actually from Sidai's kind of natural forest on the map already. It's pretty nice. I think I'm pretty much going to take this mix. So if you are using the forest brush mod to help build your forests, we can do this together. So let's create a brand new brush. This is going to be Rannoch's brush. And we're going to start moving the way down here. So definitely want Boreal pines, not a lot of them. So if I don't want a ton of a tree, I tend to bring it below 25. Palms, absolutely not in this map. The conifers as well are probably a little too dense for me. I wouldn't mind some eastern cottonwoods, again, not tons of them, so 20, 30-ish is probably what I'm going to go for. Definitely generic pine tree, I really like these, let's go for 50 on those. Giant redwoods, I am actually going to say yes to those, but very, very little of them. Let's go for 10, I think, on both accounts. Wouldn't mind the occasional green tree, but we have used it quite a lot in previous forest brushes, so I'm probably going to leave it out. We'll have some horse chestnut in there. Again, let's go for 30 on that one. I'd also like some lantana, pretty sparingly. Definitely want some live oaks, quite a few of those, so about 50 live oaks. Again, spruce I'm going to place myself, I think, because they're quite dominant. Wouldn't mind some roadies, but they can be quite colourful as well, so probably place those myself. Not small brush, wouldn't mind some tall grass in there either. Not a ton of it though. It'll probably be about 20. And then definitely wild hedge, which we'll go for 20 or 50 on that, sorry. So let's have a little test of this forest brush, shall we? This is a huge essential quality of life mod for me. Those on console, you guys will just have to use multiple different tree brushes to create this. But as we paint out a stretch of what will be Rannoch's forest, I think I'm pretty happy with that as a template. That's actually, yeah. I was going to say maybe we can adjust some of the ratios, but I think I'm happy with that. It's very different to the other forest brushes we've used. And really nice to see redwoods in there for the first time, which we've never used before, have we? Cool. So we talked all episode about this green belt along the river, which we can now build. So let's go ahead and factor this in kind of as our first park, if you like. So let's go ahead and bring a dirt path away from the main street here. And we're going to have this run all the way down. No guideline snap in here. Just want to snap into the grid, where people can walk straight down to the river. And we will also cut through someone's house for that privilege as well. Fantastic. So this is where a lot of the fun and games will start to lie for me, I believe, with this river and this map. So let's bring this road down. It's probably going to go parallel with its zoning anyway. With the coupler as that goes on in time to come down service this area here. But I'd now like to just begin by grabbing this dirt pathway. I'm just keeping some very gentle curves and bends in it. Still snapping into that grid. Just as it comes down here. And essentially just have it follow it all the way through until whatever lands over there. We want to bring some more pathways down here for people to get onto. We can see some water complaints. Likely just another budget issue. So let's go ahead and increase that back to... We can probably take that one back to 100 now. How are we doing for electricity as well? Very nearly down too, so let's prepare that in advance. Let's take that up to 80 now. The electricity is significantly more expensive than the water, so we won't put that back to 100 just yet. Here we go. We'll also notice with our green cities homes that these guys use less resources, less electricity and garbage, but they do produce less tax income as well, but it's not too noticeable. You'll be able to still get these guys earning money. And they are a very nice sort of house as well, aren't they? Very modern. I do like the green city stuff. But this is all going to contribute to our grander, smaller suburban crawl, isn't it, eventually, as we look up here one day. Something to look forward to. Let's go ahead and get some more parks down for them, because people love the parks. Now, we've got a whole bunch available to us, including even the sports venue stuff, which is all immediately available, and it's also cheap as well, isn't it? £40 a week for the soccer field. That's wonderful. So I think I'd like to make the soccer field actually part of my campus. So I'm going to move the scoot up a little bit, and then actually we can place it on that angle. That might give us some very unique detailing opportunities, I think. But we have that there. Yeah, I think we'll feed it up this way and then take that across, I think, there. How are we doing for elementary school education? It's actually very nearly time for another school now, isn't it? So we'll have a wide sidewalk road come behind and then essentially run this as a frontage against the main road. Now let's come back into that school. So this is from the Africa in Miniature content creator pack. And I'm going to place that in there. So that's more lower education, elementary. There we go. But it's obviously two schools, but two different buildings. And we can have these side by side. Almost like it's kind of a separate block of classrooms away, right? Quite a UK and Australian method of school in there. But cool. So now we can bring our pedestrian path up off of the fields in a number of locations. See if we can get these to look around. Angle snap is most important here. We'll have that one join up there, and that's going to make this whole space walkable. Let's go ahead and grab some trees. I'm going to try and be a little bit more sparing with nodes with fences this time, but opting for tree lines instead of fencing. I'm going to try. So bear with me on that one, please. And then let's just run a little live oak pattern around here, maybe scattering the occasional eastern cottonwood as well around this little campus. Maybe we can also dive into our park menu, and let's grab some park props. And I'd love to grab a couple of these beer garden benches. Maybe we can just have some of these over by our football field here. And now we can really identify that as a school campus, kind of in amongst the suburb, can't we? I think that's so much more interesting than just placing this school, like, in a bunch of houses and then moving on from it, right? Much prefer that way of building. I really like how this bit of town's turned out already, because the fencing on the football field really helps as well, doesn't it? And whilst we're also here, let's just take a minute to revisit what grew over here when we zoned. And I feel like making things historical. I often find houses and buildings above level 4 in vanilla tend to become a little too quirky for me. So a lot of this stuff is absolutely great. And we've got quite a nice authentic bend there, haven't we? In the high street. Looks pretty flush. I'm really happy with that, actually, how that's turned out. What a great selection of assets that's grown in there. Fabulous. So we do have a little noise complaint here. Looks like this guy's just a bit too close to all the action on the high street, so let's just de-zone him. And because there is loud noise here, let's also bring in some trees. So trees do reduce the effect of noise pollution on residences, so they are certainly worth bringing in if you have them. I really like all this commercial here as well, actually, so let's make that historical while we're here. So that side of town has grown up really, really nicely. I'm super, super happy with that. We can now turn our attention towards Sherry over here to bring in the high school. We don't have... Oh, no, we do have it. Sorry, we do, don't we? It's $7.20 a week for the Institute of Creative Arts, I think. So why don't we do our high school over on the Green City side of town? I'd love to find a spot for this. Let's go ahead and throw down some more road frames for the couplet, because I imagine this is going to be facing that couplet system. Let's extend it down this way, reverse any directions we need to. And then with this, let's go ahead and grab this one up here, and then we'll position our high school campus for Sherry up against this couplet system. Let's do 30. Let's then place down our high school, which is going to be the Institute of Creative Arts. We'll box that in. I'd also like to grab some car parking too. Let's do 3 of those. And then we can box those in. Of course, it's such a pleasure to have car parking and concrete painters available to us now in the early game. I'd also like to include another sports field here as well. Why don't we go for... We'll do baseball. Put that down. Are we out of power for you guys already? But no, you're just not connected. That's okay though. Let's just go ahead and get some further residential here as we build up this high school campus. So I'd love it to be connected into here. To keep that median going for a little bit. And then let's place in that second sports field here. So I'd love this to be the baseball. We can absolutely have that there. Let's make that road a median. Awesome. And then we'll have this as a second entrance into the campus. Nice when we unlock some tree roads. And then I think with this asset is square around the edge. I think we'll just run a dirt pathway along here. And then we'll feed that down into the school. Come off the guideline too. And we can connect that in there. I think it'll actually make that dirt pathway. Fantastic. And now we can have that little bit of infrastructure set up against our couplet system. And also like a one-way exit back onto the couplet. So people can quickly get back onto it if they want. And then we'll also allow this to cross over. Well, at another point there. Fantastic. So that brings us to a nice point where I feel like we can do a little bit of detailing now. I want to bring some trees in around here. Bring in some thicker trees around this point as well. And I think we'll start with running a simple, tasteful greenbelt design through here. With some more props and embellishments around parks over here too. I wouldn't mind doing a full-on park life area, but I think I'd probably save that for another episode. I think we'll just keep it relatively light and not much DLC in this first part anyway. But either way, let's detail Rannoch for the first time, and then we'll be right back. Alright guys, let's have a little look around the final detailed Rannoch, which is very exciting. So lots of landscaping and trees around our sort of initial couplet system. We'll talk about what's going to happen with the rest in a second. A little pathway here, just peeling off. Some will argue it's a waste of a node, but I really like it. So just a little pathway as if it's like a maintenance path for the water tower, with lots of overgrowth and a thicker foliage where water's maybe dripped down over the years and just made this spot extra growable, essentially. A pathway now links the two suburbs, which is actually getting a ton of use, and I'm wondering just how many of these elevated pathways we can get across this wide couplet. So where the couplet does kind of end with detailing, I need you guys here. I'm going to introduce you to a question of the episode, I think, in this series. So what public transport should we introduce into this block here? And then I think we'll feed it down the couplet, and then we'll also feed it off to cross the river to go into downtown. So we have kind of a bit of a transport hub built into the couplet system, essentially. So should it be a bus BRT? Should it be trams? Should it be monorail? Should it be metro? Maybe metro is a little high density or too high dent of a public transport option for this area. But maybe you guys want that, so let me know. We'll kind of go with the biggest consensus. The question of the episode for the first episode of Rannoch is, what public transport should we introduce to run with the Sherry couplet system? Let me know down below. Otherwise, Sherry's High School has had some trees placed in and around it with the baseball pitch, tennis court over here as well. And really loving the Rannoch forest, right? Very nice. It's really tasteful. I love being back in Boreal. We will, of course, eventually place the Boreal Pine as well at some point. But over here, we also have some more bench detailing with a little gazebo just around the grounds of the high school to flesh it out. And this sits quite nice up against our couplet. I think once we get that public transport in this area is really going to come to life a little bit more. But regardless, more homes over here before we do cross back into the initial residential suburb, which is now grown up. We've also got some parking up against our police station with a pathway running behind, which are also getting just so much use, which is really nice to see. There's nothing more satisfying, I think, in CS than seeing a pathway come to life with workers coming back into. But this links into a really nice little custom square here with a little bit more rundown commercial. All these decals are really helping add to the sort of industrial vibe, aren't they? We're really happy with those. That's next to our power plant and our fire station, with industry growing up in various different spots around it. And Main Street has actually taken on a really nice aesthetic. These guys still haven't leveled up. I'm still waiting on them, so they will change eventually. But further down here, some really nice parking arrangements, which is super helpful for vanilla. And then particularly from this angle, looking down the main street, right? What a wonderful little curve of commercial. Really organic looking front with that chunkier industry behind it. But I really like the way this first town has developed. And then we also have our school campus over here as well now, with those pathways rounded off, which people are using to get back into around to various sides of the city. So really nice seeing it come to life. Love the dual elementary schools here. And then that pathway for the river connects down here as well, which you can see people use to get around to various different points. The path went a little bit close to the river here, so did a little bit more rock detailing with some overgrowth and lantana where people are walking. And you can see how it's just going to carry people along, so I'd love to keep this thought process going for the duration. We'll spend an episode, I think, when we introduce that public transport with park life, really kind of zhuzhing this area up with a bridge coming across with public transport into that next waterfront, which will likely be nightlife, I think. And then really integrate this whole area with a nice big kind of city park, if you like, from Park Life DLC. And then lots more forest brush against the edge here, which leaves us with a very cute and tastefully finished start to the city. And I am tremendously excited for what is to come for Rannoch. But otherwise, guys, that is going to do it for today. I'd like to thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoy the content, we do both CS1 modded and vanilla and City Skylines 2 on the channel alongside man awards and lots of other city building and simulation content. So if you are new to the channel, do consider subscribing if you have enjoyed yourself. We will be in Rannoch, I think, at least for the next 18 months, hopefully longer than Orchid Bay if we can be a little bit more sensible with the nodes this time. We'll see, but it's a brand new city. I've had a ton of fun today. A massive shout out to all the patrons supporting the channel. You guys are a secret blend of herbs and spices. Thank you so much for continuing to want and demand Cities Skylines 1 content from me. It's a pleasure to make it. I absolutely adore this version of the game. Something so charming and wholesome about it. So I hope you've enjoyed the start to Rannoch. Instant Gaming and Patreon links down below if you'd like to help support. Otherwise, please do enjoy the first cinematics of our brand new Boreal Vanilla City. Otherwise, I'll shut up and leave it there. Let's thank you all so much indeed for watching. And as always, enjoy the rest of your day.